Right, hello everybody, my name's Mark and I am the manufacturer of this product, the Beat the Buzzer Heavy Metal Edition. This is a quick demonstration video to show you how to set it up, how to disassemble it, how to maintain it, and how to deal with any other factors that you will face in operation. So first of all, we're going to go through the parts. And you'll see in the parts, because they're going to flash up on the screen, that you have the main amplifier box, that's the big black box. You have a wire shape guitar, and this goes into the box. You have a wand that is used to navigate the wire. You have a spare battery, and you have a battery charger. And then you have a few other items, including some instruction notes, and there's a tool also inside the game. So what we're going to do first of all is describe how the game needs to be manoeuvred. So this box is very heavy. It needs to be very heavy for stability in operation. So transporting it around, it is critical that you only use the carry handles, which are located at each end. These are specific flight box carry handles which will support the weight. There's one at one end and one at the other. So this is a two-person lift. Don't try and lift it singularly on your own. It's too heavy, but two people need to carefully carry it using the handles. Okay, now we're going to go on to the assembly process. So the first thing we need to do is to get the wand, which is this device here, and we're going to set it up so we're ready to put it on the game. So the first thing you do is line it up and lay the ring over the top of one of the stanchion ends like so. And once you've done that, you can actually, well, you can plug this in at the same time. That is a locking jack plug. That's solidly in, and then once that's in position and like that, you're all set to add the wire, which we'll do next. Okay, so the next stage of the assembly is to now add the guitar wire shape. This can go in either left to right or right to left. It will depend on your environment and your surroundings, but obviously there is no difference as to how the game performs whether you put it left facing or right facing. So you've got two steel ends. First thing to do is to locate one end into one stanchion hole. And once that's roughly positioned, like so, then you can locate the other one at the back. You might find this is easier with two people, but once it's there, it needs to be tightened up, and that's the next stage we're going to come on to. To do that, reach inside for the hex tool, which is on a bungee cord, and we'll generally put it under the battery strap so that it's held in place. Once you've got that, let's go over to the stanchion, and you'll see at the back of the stanchion there is a little bolt hole. So what we're going to do is insert there, push the wire down so that the black meets at the very bottom of the cab, and then tighten it. It'll take 2 or 3 turns to tighten it up, and you only need to pinch it. It doesn't need to be super tight. So that's done on one side, and then you do the same again on the other side, and that secures the game. And now the wire can't move, it can't twist, it's set for the game use. Once you're happy that the unit is secure, it's just a matter of replacing the tool back where you found it, and what we do for convenience is just slide it into the strap on top of the battery. Is the final stage, and this is just to connect up the battery to the control unit. When we ship these games, we don't actually have the battery connected, just for an extra layer of safety, and we often recommend that if the game isn't being used and in storage, it's probably sensible not to have the battery connected. So let's have a little look inside the back door here. We have got 2 grey boxes. This one on the right hand side is our battery box containing the battery, and this grey one over here is the control box that controls and contains all the clever stuff that runs the game. You'll see on the front there is a power on-off switch, there is a volume control knob, and then there is another label saying plug this lead into battery. Correspondingly on the battery there are two labels. One says plug this lead into charger, and the other one says plug this lead into game. So what you've got to actually connect the battery to the game is a one-way simple, what's called an SAE connector. There's one that comes out of the battery and one that comes out of the game box. In order to connect the game and get it working, all you have to do is connect those two together. And as I say, it's a one-way connector, you can't get it wrong. Push it firmly to close it, and then just push that back inside the box out of the way. That's pretty much it. Now what we're going to do is turn the game on by pressing the on-off button. Okay, it now comes to powering on the game. What you will find is sometimes when you do connect the SEC connectors, the game will automatically turn on. This is just a safety feature to indicate the battery is at full charge. Otherwise you will need to turn it on by pressing the power on-off button, which is done there, and just press it once, and now you'll be able to tell that the game is actually on because the green LED light indicator will come on top of the box. Similarly, to turn it off, what you do is you simply just press the on-off game, and that is actually a sign-off sound saying the game has been shut down. Okay, so the volume control, when shipped from us at the factory, is set to 50%. That's 50% volume, but you have the option to change it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick test and volume adjustment to see what volume is going to suit our environment. So with it set at 50%, all we need to do is just touch the wire against the wand, and that gives us our volume control. I'm actually going to move round to the front of the amp because the sound from this is directional. So if you just like to touch the wire again for me, Jack. Right, and now Jack is going to turn up the volume to 75% on the controller, and we'll go back and we'll test again. Okay, and then we'll turn it down to 25%. That's it. And one more test. And there you can see there's a marked difference in the volumes. Okay, so that's it. You're pretty much set to go now. The thing to bear in mind, two things to bear in mind, is player positioning. The idea of this game is that the Beat the Buzzer Heavy Metal Edition facade or front faces out to the audience. So your player is always going to be behind the unit. As such, the cable should always drop to the back of the unit as opposed to lying in front of it. The game is good to play now, and the only thing as an operator you need to look out for is to watch the battery condition indicator here, which is clearly showing as green at the moment. So disassembly is just a simple reversal of assembly with two slight notes to point out. First of all, obviously you will not be able to withdraw the guitar wire shape without loosening the grub screws that are set in the stanchions. So we're just going to quickly do that now. So Jack, if you can withdraw that. Okay. And then we're going to go over to each stanchion and literally unturn it and anti-clockwise, just 2, possibly 3 turns until it's loose. I don't want people to undo it too much, because what will happen is you will lose the grub screws, and we don't want you to do that. So just loosen it 1 or 2 times on both that end and the other end. And once that's done, your wire shape will be all ready to remove. Secondly, in disassembly, the jack plug here has a red locking tab. This is to prevent the jack from being pulled out during use. But in order to remove it, you need to press down before you can then remove the actual jack itself. So this is the lock on the back of each cabinet. It's a combination lock, and I have set all the combinations to code number 111. Now, they're actually quite difficult to see, so I've added to that by marking them in red with 111. I know that slightly defeats the object of security, but I don't want you struggling to be able to see the numbers. So, what we're going to do now, you'll see that the unit is open, and if we just show you the locking mechanism, all it is a flap on the other side. So we'll close it up, close it, and then change the combination just by a couple. That's fine, Jack. And now you'll see that you can't twist or turn that to open the box at all. Can you open it? That's it. Just line up the red numbers again, 111, and you can open it and access the cabinet. Okay, next we're on to battery management. These games have high ampere, long-lasting batteries in them. They're set to give you about between 10 and 12 hours use non-stop. But for the operator, the important thing is to keep an eye on this little LED on the top of the game. It's a battery condition indicator. It will be green for the majority of the time while it's carrying sufficient voltage. After green, the LED will turn amber when the battery starts to discharge. In an amber state, it's perfectly all right to continue operating. The next state it reaches is a flashing amber mode. And this is really a warning that the battery is on its way out. If you see a flashing amber, then it's our recommendation that you change the battery over. After flashing amber, the LED will turn red. You can still operate the game for a short while with it on red, as it is reaching its points of maximum discharge. When it starts flashing red, then you need to stop operating and move the battery out to put a fresh new fully charged one in. And now we're going to show you how to do that. Okay, so we're now at the point of battery replacement. Our amber, flashing amber or red light has been on, and we need to activate a change of battery. So this is the procedure. First thing to do, open the box at the back using the code. We're going to turn the power off. Once it's powered down, you will note that there's no illumination on the LED at all. So we go back in here and we disconnect the battery SAE connectors. Once that's done, we've got a battery strap. Now, there's something I do want to quickly explain about this. When you use the battery strap, do not pull the strap all the way through, so you have to re-thread it through the buckle. So yes, just covering the battery strap again, just open it up to leave about 50 mil left. This will allow you to fold the strap over the back of the battery, and now it's just a simple withdrawal of the whole unit. Put it to one side because we're going to charge that in a moment. Let's take our new battery and drop it in. So you'll see that there are some locating rubbers to position the battery. The battery will nest nicely in between all of those so it can't move. Once that's done, pull the strap over the top, take your buckle, tighten it up and lock it so it's secure. Once you're happy that that's nice and tight, you now have your SEC connector to charge in, SAE connector, beg your pardon. So reconnect the new battery to the game. Okay, tuck that out of the way. Just one thing to make things clear. there is no sound when you turn the game on. What happens is you will get a triple flash on the LED. So if you just press the button to turn on, Jack, you'll see, it's difficult in the daylight, but you'll see that there are 3 flashes. When you turn the game off, there is a checkout sound, which is this. Now, there are technical reasons why this is done this way, but that's down to our engineering. The key factor for you to remember, to know that the game is on, is just to look at the LED. And if the LED is not showing any colour, then the game is off. But when you press the game on, that LED comes on. You can see it's a green light there. Just one further note, on the top of the game is our control panel, but our fake control panel. These dials don't have any effect at all. They're purely there to make it look like we're using an authentic amplifier. This LED is the only thing that works. This on-off button is purely for visual purposes only. It doesn't do anything. The on-off control of the game is inside the box. So don't be fooled that this one has something to do with game operation. It doesn't. Battery charging routine. Each of our games comes with one of these. This is a CE-Tech intelligent 12-volt charger. It is the best in the business for this kind of work on high ampere batteries. So you've got your charger and your battery box that needs charging. So the first thing I want you to do is to plug in the charger without connecting it to the battery. Once it's plugged in, what we're looking for is the indicator showing that it's on motorcycle. This is because of the amperage rate of the battery. So it should be on motorcycle. It is shipped default on motorcycle. If it comes up with either the car or the snowflake, you press the mode button to adjust it back to motorcycle. Next stage is to plug the charger into the battery. Again, this is a idiot-proof system. There's no way you can get it wrong. You just plug one into the other and we're set to go. Now what will happen is the battery indicator will start to show us the rate of charge. Position number 1, which is the furthest to the left, is showing that the battery is desulfating. You probably don't need to know this, but it's useful information. 2, 3 and 4 are all charging stages. Once the charge is at number 4, the battery is actually at full charge. Numbers 5, 6 and 7 are self-test modes. You don't need to worry about that, but if you leave the charger on overnight, those will light up, so when you come back to the battery in the morning, it is fully charged, fully tested and ready to go for the next day. It's an intelligent charger, so it will automatically shut itself off or stop from charging when the battery is at full capacity. Finally, there should be no need at all to open the battery box. The battery box is solid state contained. There is a fuse in it. In the very, very unlikely circumstance that a fuse blows, which is, as I say, very unlikely, then you can open the box to change the fuse. But that is the only reason you would need to open the box. Okay, finally a few quick words about safety. The games that we build are all built on a 12-volt platform. That means they don't require PAT testing. Health and safety is very, very straightforward, as there is no high voltage electric current to be dealt with. There are, however, a couple of things that you should consider for health and safety. Positioning of the game is quite important. What you may find is, because of the size of the guitar wire bend and shape, the headstock, which is at this pit up here, can be around head height for some people. But if they do happen to walk into it, there's an enormous amount of flex, which is a great safety feature on top of making it in the way that we have. And what you'll find there is, yes, somebody might miss it by their eyes, but position the game in such a way so that that headstock is very rarely going to be walked into. The best way to deal with it is to make the game, set the game up in such a way that people are encouraged to walk around the back of the guitar body to play the game, as opposed to walking around the headstock end to play the game. Okay, the next thing that should be thought about is tripping hazards. The only real tripping hazard with our game is if the cable is allowed to run freely behind the game. But this is high tension curly cable. It's designed not to flex too much, so the chances of it actually being on the floor and causing any kind of tripping is minimal. Thirdly, stability. These boxes are going to be weighed down with over 60 kilos of weight. Now that means, as a tipping hazard, there is very, very limited possibility that that will happen. What you have got to be aware of is, unfortunately, there are people out there that seem to think it's fun to try and knock things over. With a lot of force, it could be tipped over, but it will take a lot of force, and this is something that administrators will need to just keep an eye on. Finally, a quick word about water damage. The game is pretty much waterproof. That's not waterproof for immersion, but it is splash proof. We understand that in an environment where these kind of games can end up, people can quite easily spill a drink over it or do something like that. That is not going to damage the game, but anything that is spilt on it should be absorbed and soaked up with towels, etc., to minimise any risk. As I said, it's 12 volt, so it won't short out. The only thing to bear in mind is just keeping it clean.